What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this POV review by AutotopNL. My name is Max, and today you join me on a lovely day with a new AMG. And that means that we've paid a visit to Thijs Timmermans, because if you need a really cool, brand new, hard to get Mercedes-AMG, where do you go? You don't go to a Mercedes-Benz dealership or to the importer for the Netherlands. No, you go to Thijs Timmermans, because he has the coolest ones and he always has them in stock. So today we're going to show you around the car with the longest name in history, the Mercedes-AMG GT63 S E-Performance Coupé. It is the new AMG GT and, well, it is hella fast. So I'm going to show you around it. Make sure you check out Thijs Timmermans, because he's got a couple of these for sale. This is a white one that has been wrapped in matte dark blue, but he's got a green one as well, which looks super cool. So make sure you check that out. We're going to show you around it, show you the spec as well, and then we'll take it for a drive towards the Autobahn for an Autobahn blast. So, what is it? It is the new AMG GT in its most extreme form. Of course, the E-Performance means that it is a hybrid. The GT63 S E-Performance 4-door is what we had before, with the same drivetrain, the S63 as well, the SL63 as well. And it is basically the M177 4-liter V8 with a battery pack and an electric motor integrated into a unit on the rear axle, with the limited slip diff and a 2-speed gearbox as well. And that means that you have an absolute rocket of a car. So let's have a look at the exterior first. AMG GT has grown quite a bit, so it's wider, it's longer, it's more spacious inside, because customers of the previous one complained that it was too unpractical, too cramped inside, not fit for a road trip basically, and that is what they've done with this one. So it's a bit more of a GT in general. We've got the super aggressive front end with the Panamericana grille. This car has, well, this car's spec'd really nice. So it's got carbon exterior pack as well, with a little bumper piece right there. We've got the new headlights with the triple daytime running light. Looks really cool, very, very aggressive front end. And it's got these super cool sort of gold bronze wheels. These are 295 tires on a 21-inch wheel, and this is a Michelin Pilot Sport S5 tire. Really good tire. Behind that we've got the carbon ceramic brakes with black calipers, which is also pretty cool. It does say AMG or carbon ceramic there, yeah, but you don't have the golden calipers, which is kind of a flex, I think. E-Performance V8 bi-turbo badge right there. Carbon mirrors for the exterior pack, carbon side skirt trim as well. You get a panoramic roof as well. And then at the rear we've got these big 305s with 21s as well at the rear. 305s, nice, a lot of rubber, and well, you need that because it puts down a lot of torque. More carbon on the rear bumper there, with the classic AMG square tips, with in there the actual exhaust with a valve in there as well. And we've got a lovely rear spoiler in carbon fiber. GT63 S badge. Now you do lose out on a bit of boot space, because the hybrid has the battery pack right there on top of the rear axle behind the rear seats. So it's 180 liters instead of 350 for the non-hybrid, and that kind of defeats the purpose of a GT, because this is, well, it's not a lot. You can fit some stuff in here, but you also, well, you don't really need the cable actually, because it charges up really quickly from the engine, so you don't really need all this stuff. So you have a bit of space down here for like a weekend bag, and then some more stuff there. I think for a long weekend or a week where you don't really need much more than, well, what do you need? Like a toothbrush, a credit card, and some swimming trunks and a couple of pants, right? That's basically what you need. So I think in that respect it is good, but you do lose out on a bit of practicality because you have the hybrid. You also get this rather unfortunate charge port, which I don't know, the placement of that, I'm guessing they couldn't have done it any other way, but yeah, it's not the best looking thing. New rear lights as well, with again the 3 light units and an AMG logo in there. Well, I think it's a handsome car. It's very muscular and wide and just very beefy. I quite like that. It definitely has a lot of road presence. Hey, what's up, Waspy? I need to get in there and I don't want you to go in there, so can you please leave? There's some wind. Move. It's playing with fire. Okay, quick. Open up the bonnet. There you go. So let's have a look. As I said, you've got that hybrid pack on the rear axle like you have with the other E-Performance models from AMG, and then you've got the M177 4-liter V8 bi-turbo, 612 horsepower, and then you combine that with 204 from the electric motor is 816, and a combined torque of 1420 newton meters. It does weigh 2195 kilos, the hybrid version, of course, because you have the big V8 and you've got that hybrid pack and the battery. So it is quite heavy. It's also quite large, but they've mitigated some of the agility with a rear wheel steering system. But you have a couple different engine versions available. So you've got the GT63 S Performance, you've got the regular GT63 S, which has just this engine, 612 horsepower, doesn't have the hybrid stuff. Then you've got the GT55, which I believe is the one to have. It's the down-tuned version of this engine with 467 horsepower, and it weighs 1970 kilos, so it's a little bit lighter. And then you have the base level version, which is the GT43, which has the 4-cylinder, 421 horsepower, and that car weighs 1790 kilos. So that's like 400 kilos less than this car, which is quite a lot on a coupe like this. That's actually quite a big difference. So let's have a look inside. So as I said, one of the reasons why this car has grown the way it has is because people thought that the previous one was a bit too cramped and a bit too harsh. And I do kind of get that. On one hand, because it's called an AMG GT, it kind of looks like a GT with a big bonnet, but it was like a proper hardcore car. And I quite loved that, but the seating position and the cabin, it was a bit cramped and a bit uncomfortable, so I do get that. So the car is much more spacious in here, much more luxurious, and you even have a +2 in the rear for, well, small humans or one big dog. You even have ISOFIX for child seats, so it is a lot more practical in that sense than the previous one. It is a lot though. There's a lot going on. A lot of lights, a lot of displays, big steering wheel with the haptic feedback buttons, which are not great, but you do get used to how it all works. You just need a bit of time. And you've got the gorgeous air vents that turn, and then you have this magnetic click. Oh, which is just one of the best things in automotive in general. And it's gorgeous, that propeller design, super nice. This car also has the carbon interior trim, carbon fiber steering wheel, so it's really fully loaded, this thing. And Thijs has wrapped it in this matte dark blue with those golden wheels, I think to match the spec of his G99 M5 and his 812 Competizione Ferrari, which you have both seen on this channel. So I quite like that. It's a cool look. Burmester audio as well. So start it up in EV mode, in comfort, but it starts up in EV. So you also have an active splitter basically, which is this thing that they pump up. Well, it's not pumped up actually, it's... I think it's just a solid thing that moves with a rubber protecting plate. So you can hit this button to retract it or extend it. So we're in race mode, which is everything to full attack. 9-speed gearbox in drive. We're going for sport for the traction control. And yeah, let's go. So we've got, I'll show you. We've got a little 6 kilowatt-hour battery, which means that you can actually do some electric driving. There we go. It even makes a nice little sound. And you can do that for up to 13 kilometers. But these e-performance cars with their hybrid drivetrains really have been developed to give you maximum performance rather than a lot of EV driving. So the cool thing is, because you have, oh that's quick, because you have such a small battery pack, it's very efficient as well. And you can see in the bottom right there that I've got almost 100% charge, and it just continuously charges itself if you're on it. If you go back to comfort, it will use up the electricity. So if you drive around town or stuff like that, you can use it like this. And then if you go to Sport, Sport Plus and Race, it starts charging and deploying more and more of that electric battery, which I think is a really cool concept, and it actually works really well. So you have battery power to deploy when you need it, but it also recharges really quickly. So I'll turn off traction control because let's do a launch control. And you need to turn off traction control for that, because that's the fastest way. When you turn off traction control, I've actually not done it right because I need to turn off everything. So you need to twist this button, which is like the digital version of the one you got in the AMG GTR Pro, or the GTR and the GTR Pro and the Black Series. So you can twist this knob and go to all the way off, and then when you do launch control, that's the fastest. Because it can actually deploy everything without the traction control, and it's got more than enough traction to do it. So it's 2.8 seconds 0 to 100, which it actually does. We've tested it, and with that 0 to 100 time, it is the fastest accelerating Mercedes ever. It's even faster than the AMG 1, which is kind of nuts. Well, it's so torquey because you have that e-power that is immediately deployed when you touch the throttle. There's no turbo lag, and then at a certain point turbos and e-power get together and have a party, and it takes off. It's so quick. It does feel like they've moved away slightly from the previous AMG GTs, and I mean, they've said that they've done that because the customers thought that they were a bit too much. But because of that, it does feel like it's in a sort of a different segment now, away from the like proper supercars and a bit more in the range of very fast GT cars, because it's quite big, it's quite heavy, but it's also blisteringly fast. So it feels more like a Bentley Continental GT or a Ferrari Amalfi or Aston Martin DBS competitor, something like that. Something more geared towards a lot of highway driving and, you know, covering a lot of distance at high speed than track driving. Like, covering distance at high speed, it definitely can, because it is super quick. Top speed 320 kilometers an hour, 100 to 200, 5.89 seconds, which is also very quick. But when you kick down, the thing absolutely takes off. It's a freaking rocket ship. Keeps pulling quite well. I have to brake here for the on-ramp. But that is decent speed, I would say. And that is what this car is. It's relentless pace. You've lost a little bit of connection, of excitement. Well, it's a different kind of excitement. It's just less of a sports car, of a supercar, and it's more a hyper GT. It's very effective at that, don't get me wrong. It's really fast, and just it feels like you're not really even stressing the car. It all feels very effortless because you have that e-boost. It feels like you're always in the right power band, because you are, because the e-power is always there, and that makes it a very different experience. So as you can see, you've got all the data right there. So what they did is the car is mainly rear wheel driven, and it then sends power to the front wheels when it needs to. You can see the e-motor at the rear is delivering torque. You can see a little e-motor at the front, and then the V8 right there. And that one at the front is spinning, but if I give it some throttle, it's hardly doing anything. It's very little torque at the front, so that's only used when you need it. So, point and shoot. Oh. So it definitely feels like an evolved version of the AMG GT, but in that evolution it's also changed. They haven't really continued on the same foot with this one, at least, and that's why I think that the biggest competitor of this GT63 S E-Performance is actually the GT55 with the 476 horsepower V8, which is 200 kilos lighter, 250 kilos I think even, and well, you just have a V8 and it's a lot cheaper, so that might be the pick of the range, but this is an absolute weapon. So it's for sale at Thijs Timmermans. I'll clean the windows for you. There we go. If you're interested, go check it out. He's got a couple for sale in different specs. Massive thanks for letting us have a go again in this very cool AMG. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. You can subscribe by clicking the big button. Make sure you check out this video or this playlist of reviews, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye.